Hello, I'm Eric Smith, and I want to welcome you to the new episode of the Low Budget Review Show. Did you see that? All right. So today, I want to talk about Stillwater by Maynard Sims, and it's published by Sam Hain. Now, Maynard Sims, it's actually two guys, Len Maynard and Mick Sims. When they were being published by Leisure Books, it said Maynard and Sims on the cover. So now they're just Maynard Sims, but it is two guys. So in Stillwater, we have Elizabeth, or Beth Alvarini. She's a best-selling romance novelist who's had a bit of a hard time lately. She went through a bitter divorce, and then she was in a car accident that left her paralyzed from the waist down. So now she's living in a wheelchair. And she wants to get out of the city. She lives in London, and just needs to get away. So she rents a place called Stillwater. It's kind of out in the country. Large property, and then this big old house that's called Stillwater. And she had the whole ground floor was refurbished to make things easier for her in the wheelchair, and she can't go upstairs physically, but also in the contract it says the upstairs is off limits. So she moves in here, and her best friend and agent Miranda Stiles comes to see her, brings her cat, makes sure she gets settled in. And the estate agent, James Bartlett, helps her, gives her the tour, helps her get settled in. So we meet these characters. So once she's there and she's settled in, she meets her neighbors, and she goes over to have dinner with them. And they kind of fill her in a little bit on the history of Stillwater from their point of view. And the place is owned by a man named Bernard Franklin. And when he lived in Stillwater, he shared it with his wife Dolores and his daughter Jessica. Well, according to the neighbors, Dolores was sort of this wild woman. They call her a hippie. Some people thought that she might be a witch. And it seems, again, according to the neighbors, a lot of people in town seem to think that she was putting hexes and curses on people. Then they tell her about Jessica, who's a beautiful teenage girl. And despite being a strong swimmer, she drowned in the lake on the property from which Stillwater gets its name. So this is just some information. Beth learns about the history of the place. And so she's just living there, working on her new book. But then some weird things start to happen. She starts hearing noises, a lot of it coming from upstairs. She starts seeing things and experiencing some very frightening things. And she decides that she needs to learn the true history of Stillwater if she's going to figure out what's going on, what's happening to her right now. And that's basically it. That's your general plot outline, I guess. Now, there's a quote that I do not remember accurately. I'm not even sure about the number that I'm going to say here, but somebody once said that there are only 7 stories in the world. I'm not sure it's 7. For some reason, that's the number that always sticks in my head. Anyway, someone said there are only 7 stories in the world. So every story comes down to how it's told. And Stillwater, at least, the story here is the writer moving into a haunted house. And that's a story, if you read a lot of horror, you're going to see this story a lot. There are slight variations. Sometimes it's the writer moving back to their hometown. But basically a writer going someplace relatively isolated to work, and turns out to be haunted or there's something going on. Just not too long ago, I reviewed House of Skin by Jonathan Jans, also from Sam Hain. And it was the same basic story, a writer who rents a place that turns out to be haunted. So as I said, it comes down to how the authors handle it. And Maynard and Sims handle it very well. Their writing style is incredibly smooth. I have no idea who did what. I have no indication that two people were working on this. Now I know there are a lot of different ways for authors to collaborate. I'm always interested in how they do it. So I'd like to know what Maynard and Sims do personally. I would personally like to know what Maynard and Sims do. I don't care what they do personally. But yeah, it's seamless. I'd never guess, if I didn't know it was two people, I'd never guess that two people worked on this. Their characters are all interesting. Beth Alvarini has real depth. You know, she's gone through a lot recently, so she's a bit bitter, but she tries to fight off that bitterness. But, you know, I mean, she's stuck in a wheelchair after a lifetime of being free. I don't know. She feels trapped. You know, I can understand that she's bitter, but she tries to keep that from getting her down. Miranda Stiles, a lot of fun. James Bartlett, kind of stick in the mud. He's an estate agent. What do you expect? The neighbors are a nice old couple. And as we get to know Dolores and Jessica Franklin through the stories that Beth hears about them, they're pretty interesting characters. And as always, character is the most important thing to me. So Maynard and Sims do a really nice job here. It's not as creepy as the last book I reviewed, Orphans of Wonderland by Greg F. Cafune, but there is a lot of spooky stuff going on, and it'll definitely hold your interest. It's only 208 pages, so it's a quick read. I flew through it in just a couple of days. If I didn't have other things going on, I probably could have read this whole thing in a day. Well, less than a day. So that's basically it. I'm trying something new. I'm trying to keep these videos a little shorter, a little more concise. So you'll have to let me know if that's what you want. I know I tend to ramble, so I'm trying to keep that to a minimum. So please let me know if you need more information about the plot of the book, if you want more information about the characters and the writing and everything, because you know, I want to encourage people to read, and a boring video isn't going to do that, I don't think. So I'm trying to keep these a little quicker, and I've added something else, which is a new rating system. So Stillwater by Maynard Sims gets 4 out of 5 dirty, stagnant lakes. Which you just love. You know, this is low budget. I don't have fancy graphics, so I had to hand draw this. And that's what I'm going to do, I think, from now on, is rate each book and do a stupid little drawing to give you an idea. So this gets 4 out of 5. It's well written. It's got good characters. It's got a lot of spooky stuff going on. But it is a story we've seen before. Excuse me. So it loses a little bit for that. Even though it's a very well-told version of that story, it is that story, that writer moving into a haunted house story. Also, I don't know if this matters to anybody, so I'm going to throw it out here now. If it doesn't matter, you can tell me about it in the comments below, and I won't mention it again if it comes up in another book. But a few times in this book, there are words missing. The first couple times I came across it, I thought maybe it was just British style of writing. People in different parts of the world obviously speak differently. They have different cadences. Even their sentence structure is a little different. So the first couple times I thought, all right, well, this is just the way people from London talk. But then because it was little words like the would be missing from the middle of a sentence. But then when like the word you or can or something, I don't remember the other one, was missing, I realized it was not just the way someone was speaking, but there's actually words, maybe half a dozen times or so, just in the middle of a sentence, a word missing. I don't know at what point in the process these words disappeared, if the writers left them out, if it was left out in the typesetting process. I don't know if that's even the word they use anymore. But it's not enough to change the way I see the story. Again, it's a really entertaining story, but I just wanted to point that out. I don't know if I feel obligated to point that sort of thing out in a review. If there's huge continuity errors or big things like that, or I've even had books with chapters missing, which obviously was a printing problem, because there'd be like 20 pages missing in the beginning, and sometimes they'd show up at the end, or a bunch of pages from the end would be in the middle of the book and then again at the end. Just to weird things like that. That I'm going to point out. This is just, like I said, half a dozen or so words missing here and there. So actually, let me know if that kind of thing matters to you, if you want me to point that out when I'm talking about these books. So as always, comments will be open for spoilers. Just please be polite and leave a spoiler warning. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. If you want me to make these videos a little quicker, a little shorter, let me know. If you need more information about the plot, let me know. If you want to know more about the writing style or anything else, let me know what you're looking for, because I'm really trying to encourage people, to read, to pick up good books, entertaining. It is 4 out of 5 Stagnant Lakes. So it's definitely worth reading. So what can I do to encourage you folks to pick these books up? At least the ones that I'm giving good reviews to, which is pretty much everything I do on here. I'm doing it because I want you to pick it up and read it. Let me know all that stuff in the comments below. Let's have a conversation. I will have links for the book, both from Amazon and directly from Sam Hain. I'll have those links in the description below. Please like, share, and subscribe. I think I covered everything, so until next time, read more books.